This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and Pierre Novellie has made the great trek here this morning. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Morning, boys.
Morning.
Good morning. Now, there might be some problems with my voice early on because the bloke, I got a car in this morning and the bloke was from the West Midlands, and I could feel myself go, boy, got about a mile in, I'm going, oh, what's happening with the baggies? They were blowing it, eh, they? And I've got to get myself back out of that now, so I might not sound as posh as I normally do.
Okay.
Speaking of posh, where was I yesterday?
Where?
I was at the Royal Enclosure at Ascot. Oh my goodness! I had the top hat,
The full thing.
the full, yeah. It's a bit like a massive fancy dress party where the theme is posh. So you have to do that, you know. You have to wear, and they're quite strict on it.
Oh, they're very. Remember, a friend of mine ran into a bit of bother.
Oh yes, we got a slightly comical. He got a comical top hat. Emily's
He
friend.
brought it just because he thought, oh, as long as I've got something.
Yeah.
And then he was told it just wouldn't do.
Really?
So he was sent to the top hat shop.
Okay.
On site?
Yes.
Like
It's a pop-up shop, and I think they cost about $2,000.
Like a sort of baked potato van at a festival.
Yeah, exactly. When I went to try, because you know you hire basically,
Yes.
and we asked about buying. I wasn't going to, but and they said, well, we can do you a decent one, like, you know, they're not all like massively expensive. We can do you one for like 2,200. I thought, okay.
Did you say my son's painted some cereal box cardboard black and made a sort of hoop of it? I mean,
Well, my son, of course, is an Alice Cooper fan, so a top hat in the house, I'm not saying it won't be used.
And did you go the full morning dress?
Oh, absolutely, full everything. We get a little note like, you supply your own tie, no novelty, it said. So, yeah, it's not the place for the Homer Simpson tie or anything like that. But, no, you know what? It was a cracking day out, I must say. But I noticed the jacket. I don't know what you call those jackets with a bit of a tail. It's like a frock coat. Is it a morning coat? Okay. I had that on, and on the way in, I just thought, the wallet was slightly spiling the lump, like a lump, slightly spiling the
Most
line.
people aren't used to carrying wallets, that's why.
Is it? Well, on the way back, it looked great. And that might give you an inclination of what kind of day I had betting. Because I took cash. I thought, I want to be like in the films when you throw down cash and say, yeah, put it on. Whatever it was.
I'm worried, Frank, that you looked a bit, I'm getting married in the morning.
It was an element of that, certainly, yeah. There's one of my favourite stage directions in the whole of musicals. I've got the script of My Fair Lady, and there's a bit where Alfred Doolittle, who's a ne'er-do-well, finds out that his daughter is holed up with this posh bloke across town, and he says, I need to investigate this, and it says, Doolittle leaves like a man on his way to El Dorado. So yeah, it was a bit like that. But you know what? I got like when you go into your private box bit. Oh yeah. I had a private box. It's like being David Blaine. And you check your hat in when you walk in. There's a big... I wish I could have took a photo. There was just a shelving full of top hats with little numbers in them, so you get your right hat back.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want anyone to get my hat. I should tell you about the hat. Can I tell you one last thing? I met George Osborne was there, former Chancellor of the Exchequer, right? And he approached me.
Oh.
And I don't know if you'd have given me 100 guesses at what he was. The first thing George, I've never met before. The first thing he was going to say to me was, "I would never have got you." George Osborne said, "I love your poetry podcast."
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Frank Jonesy 73 has been in touch,
Oh, yeah.
commenting on a lovely picture of you that's on Twitter, and says the boy from Oldbury has done all right for himself.
Well, it did feel. I mean, if my old man, who had a bet 6 days a week and had, this won't mean much to many of you, but he had 10 5p doubles, 10 5p trebles, and a 10 pence roll up. It's not big money, let's put it that way. If he'd have known that I was going to be having a long chat with Steve Cawthon, who was like a star jockey at the time, he would be an excited bloke, I must say. So that was lovely.
Frank, what about when I went to Ascot and in exchange for my seat, my box seat, I had to sort of do an interview about fashion, I seem to remember.
Okay.
Yeah, but they put it on the bit they put on the loudspeaker was when the woman said, "And are you a big horse fan?" I said, "Do you know I hate horses?"
Oh, God.
And someone came up to me and said, "Are you that woman that said I hate horses?"
Well, there was a woman there who saw another woman in the same dress, and I thought this was a great way of handling it. She went over and said, "Can I have a selfie with you?" and took a photo of her in the same dress. But I said, if I do that with everyone who's dressed the same as me, it's going to take up the whole day. But when I went to the, I've got a big head.
I can't possibly
A
comment.
wardrobe woman once said to me, she said, I've been working in television for 40 years, she said, and the biggest heads are Benny Hill and then you. I said, thank you. So proud to be on that league table.
A silver to Hill.
And she'd worked with the Elephant Man. No, she hadn't.
Right.
And, sorry.
Sake.
I meant the film. And so I had to get to this shop, which was very nice. And it's called Oliver Brown. Is that,
Oh, yes, I'm familiar.
And I thought they'd all be super posh in there. They're actually really sort of, nice. Not the posh necessarily, I mean, not nice. But there was stuff in there, like I saw some top hat polish. I didn't know that existed.
I mean, the only person I can ever imagine using that is Lord Snooty.
Well, exactly. It's got a Lord's. It's impossible to put it on. And also, when I first looked at myself in the mirror, in the top hat and the thing, I thought, really, what I want is the waistcoat to be a sort of peanut bodice, so I'd look like Mr. Peanut from the Planters. And the other thing at the shop, they gave me the top hat and the waistcoat, and I said, where's the monocles? And he said, what do you mean? I said, I thought you'd have a selection of monocles to wear for the day. And no.
I like the way you keep referring to it as the shop. Like it's the corner shop.
It felt like the shop. Anyway, they got the hat, and we were on by now. I said, look, I'm going to tell you from the off, I've got a big head. It's going to be problematic. And they said, oh, don't worry. Honestly, it won't be a problem. So by the time we'd reached 8.5 in the hat, and there was this terrible moment where I sort of crossed the great divide, where I put on a hat that just sat on the top of me, like I looked like I was some sort of novelty air freshener. And then the next one literally pressed the top of my ears down, like comedy big hat. No. And they said there's nothing in between those two hats, including you. So I had to go for the big hat and basically just tense all day, tense my temples outwards.
Do a lot of reading before you left the house.
Yeah, exactly. What I needed, I had a white rabbit in there. I needed was a pipe at the back of my head with a small jet of air blowing upwards. But really, I kept it upright. But every now and again, I felt the ears flattening out as it. But when it got I was with Victoria Coram Mitchell and two very nice friends of hers, Jeffrey and Neil, and I thought, when it got very sunny, we all sheltered under my hat. It was like a little private apartment.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had some reviews in, having posted of your morning suit
I mean,
and top hat.
yeah.
Of your I'm getting married in the morning.
Me in tough mode.
I think you look fabulous.
Thanks. You know what Kat said to me? Some women would find you really attractive in that. Hold on. I thought this is one. We're going to have to workshop this a little. Anyway, carry on.
I don't know what to say.
No, I know.
I kind of love that she said that. Berkshire Blade says, I love Monopoly.
Yes, there is a bit of that. There's a place, isn't there, in town, in London, where you can play Monopoly sort of full-sized. I've driven past it a few times.
Like outdoors?
No, but it's indoors, I think.
Yes.
I saw there's like a silver vintage car parked outside. Not really. But I'm guessing... But
A
yeah.
giant dog.
But there's exactly a terrifying silver dog out the window. No, it looks like you can go in and just be Monopoly, if you know what I mean.
Oh, right.
Oh, can we do that?
I'm up for that.
Hello?
I don't fancy. I know. I've always hated Monopoly.
Why?
If I want to buy property in London, no, that's a joke. I just don't know. It's too long.
It is, yeah.
I used to think I was too long, but looking back, it was nice.
I bet you chose the old Van Gogh boot.
I go for the top hat actually normally. Yeah.
That says a lot. Guess what I go for? No brainer.
Is this, I can't remember what they are. Is it a shoe? Is there a elegant lady's shoe?
No.
It's got to be the dog.
It's the Iron, actually. I know my place.
Oh, the Iron. I told Victoria Coram Mitchell I expected by about 4 o'clock yesterday to be drinking apple ties out of one of her slippers. That's what I imagined Royal Ascot was like for the teetotaler. But having lost every race.
We've also had John Adams. Oh, congratulations on your presidency. Yes, milady.
Oh, yeah. Parker.
Yeah.
Home, me lady. Home, Parker.
Rigadon Rick says, didn't fancy utilising the leather crown.
No, you can't wear that. I think that who can wear a crown at Royal Ascot is quite that's quite strictly observed.
And no novelty crowns.
I said to someone, William and Kate are here today, aren't they? And they said, well, we call them William and Catherine. Oh, all right. All right.
Wow.
It's I thought they called them the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge myself, but you know. But anyway, we went out and watched that. By the way, my method of horse betting has always been things that mean, like I bet Kathy come home.
Oh, yes.
Slightly ironic to use the title of a hard-hitting 60s TV drama about homelessness at Royal Ascot. But it was because my partner's called Kathy. That didn't work. Dark Moon Rising because my son just learned Bad Moon Rising on the ukulele. And looking back, it was always going to be an haphazard method of horse selection. Because the people one thing I'd say, the biggest culture shock is not the posh thing. It's people who are utterly obsessed with horse racing. So they know, they know everything. Now, the thing is, you see, it lost a shoe in March. And it's really unbelievable.
Frank,
I'll tell you what's the nice place. Can I just tell this? The woman who I was giving my money to all day, at the end of it, said, can I have my photo taken with you? I said, do you have a wall of victims? Impoverished-looking folk.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
may I briefly share this with you? It's from Paul, one of our regulars.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the poetry pod. Frank does a poetry podcast.
Whee!
Another reaction I didn't expect.
Okay.
On The Lady of Shalott. Quite surprised to hear that Tennyson's recorded voice sounds a lot like Marquis Smith. Over to you, Frank Skinner.
Well, Alfred Lord Tennyson, who, even if you don't, if not interested in poetry, you might have heard of him. He was like a very famous Victorian poet. But there is allegedly, and it seems pretty well verified, a recording of his voice, which seems incredible. Like you'd be amazed. It's like Florence Nightingale is recorded as well. So I tried to. I talks about this on the podcast, and he's doing Charge of the Light Brigade, half a league onward. And so I tried to represent the recording, which is kind of like this. And that's it. But it
sounds like it was recorded in situ.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a great poem, but the recording doesn't do it complete justice.
Those effects are amazing.
It's funny that it sounds like the Fall. It's a very funny. That's a fine joke. Oh man! Dear. But it's worth having you'd be surprised who's been recorded. That's all I'm saying. I'm not.
I like favourite old recordings. I'd be up for that.
Yeah, Florence Nightingale is trying to plug some scheme or other.
What, is she like an influencer?
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just got these presents and I'm going to open them now. And, another hypodermic. Why is she American, Florence Nightingale, in this mine? Of course it won't even actually be.
Florence Nightingale. Hey guys, I'm doing an unboxing of some gauze bandages
and more batteries for my lamp. Yes. So check it out. Check it out. But that's I think he liked the podcast.
Oh, he loves the podcast.
Okay, it's him and George Osborne. That's my catchment area.
It's in your target market.
Everyone loves the podcast.
Former chancellors is quite. You're not going to make any money out of that, are you?
I don't know. I think he'll find a way.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Oh man. Okay. We got Pierre Novellie with us today. We haven't really remarked on it. Pierre, I'm going to give you a little backdrop on Pierre. We met because Pierre did a thing I used to do called The Rest Is History, which was a sort of a show about history, but obviously with a comic bent. And Pierre was on that, and we bonded on the Anglo-Saxons.
Yep.
And I don't know if they still use the word support act. Is there a fancier term for it?
Opener, if you're an American.
So he was my opener on the just the fan mail. He was my opener on my last tour. So there you are. How's it going, Pierre?
Good, thanks. I've just come back from a holiday in Bordeaux, of all places.
Bordeaux.
Find some music for him, Frank. Oh.
There we go. And I'm aware that for a man who's not French, I'm coming across as an extremely French man.
Well, you sound Pierre, and you've been to... sorry, there was a terrible moment then where I was going to put the jingle on of French music, which we have. I don't know why we have that, but we've had that a long time. That's because our original... the man who first sat in your seat, Gareth Richards, had a thing about, who was he?
It was Raymond Blanc.
Raymond Blanc, and whenever he cropped up, we used to hit that. It says French Sting, which reminds me of the aftermath of a holiday that I had there in the 90s.
All right, Frank.
We'll come back to, we've reached that point where the producer, thrown herself across the...
I've never seen it. I mean, it really was extraordinary.
It was like the witch trials of the... it was like Salem. She's there in a black frock and she flew across the room and pointed out the old French Sting to me. That was... I haven't quite got over it, I'll be honest. I didn't know she could move that fast.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I don't like this from Ian McNaughton.
Oh, yeah.
Just what?
You don't like it? Oh,
well,
God.
he's just said lottery winner.
Oh yeah, no, but that's fair because I did. I don't know if you know about this, Pierre, but I feel that one of the obligations of if you win the lottery, if you take the money, you have to agree legally to wear a top hat for the rest of your life when out of doors, so that people know what they're dealing with.
Yes, that's fair. And question, in terms of summer garb, with the weather being what it is, top hat with shorts and a t-shirt, fine?
Anything, just the top hat, that's the badge. You're saying to people, yes, I've got loads of money, which I didn't work for. And that's something, say if someone's got a bucket collecting for children in need, obviously they're going to make a beeline for the top hat wearer.
Top hat, a haircut around the top hat?
I think that's their business. I'm not trying to run some sort of nanny state here. Anyway, so you were telling us some of Pierre, and then we went elsewhere.
I was in Bordeaux, hence the.
Hold it! Oh, mon chéri, mon oncle. Mon oncle is not the thing that Mr. Peanut wears in his eye. Mon oncle, I've always loved, is because I don't speak French, but I'd love to. There's a Jacques Tati film, and it's my uncle, obviously, but mon oncle is the word oncle. The fact that somebody who was writing French originally thought that'll be all right for uncle. Oncle.
That word doesn't need any more syllables.
No.
We'll cut it in the middle of the hardest syllable to
Pierre has got quite a French exchange vibe today on the outfit front.
Yes, yeah. I've come to be dragged around the tube and stop at the top of the stairs.
Well, Pierre's wearing shorts today, and Pierre's a big... I always used to think on tour when Pierre wore shorts that he was too muscular to be close to. Do you know what I mean? In short, it was like, it felt dangerous. It was like being locked. It was like being in a lock, like with an unbroken horse in a confined space.
What is wrong with you?
Like he could kick. I felt he could kick out. I wouldn't walk behind him when he had them on.
Not without blinkers.
No, I felt he could kick out and do quite a bit of damage. It's got these mighty legs. Oh, man.
Do you feel yourself saying you have to earn his respect?
Honestly, he looks... You know, those fleas can jump like the equivalent of jumping over a block of flats because they've got such mighty legs. That's what Pierre looks like.
You are joking.
Pierre could jump into a 7th floor balcony
with a single bound.
Flea.
No, but a flea. I'm on about the plus side of fleas is their very strong legs.
Yeah.
I'm not. I know they can be an annoyance.
But
jumping. Credit where credit's due. That's how I look at fleas.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and Pierre Novellie is here with us this morning. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show. What about that for an idea? Via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. I don't feel like we've had as many in this morning.
We have had loads.
Oh, okay.
We need to know. I want to know about Pierre's French exchange, though.
Oh, yes. French exchange. We should on one of those things. Staying with a French family.
Quand j'ai voyagé à la France.
Probably. Mon oncle. Was he there? I'm starting to think that when you see geese flying in formation, the person at the front is their uncle. They're going, mon oncle, mon oncle. No, carry on.
Well, before I do, Colin Reid commenting on your Royal Ascot outfit, the thin controller.
Oh, that's clever.
Very good.
That is clever.
Very good.
What if I said no, I had some wasting disease and made him feel really terrible? If I haven't, I'm all right. As far as I know, who knows?
Yeah.
I've checked.
Jean Holland, you look so smart, dear Frank. That's from Jane Austen.
Yeah, that's
nice.
Lovely.
Nice.
So what happened in Bordeaux? Does it stay in Bordeaux?
Well, we were there for a friend decided to have the most convenient version of a destination wedding, and we decided to stay on. And we made I won't say mistake, but I would say brave decision.
Who's we in this story?
Myself and my partner,
Okay.
the GF. We made the decision to do a wine tasting in Bordeaux, as one should, I suppose,
Yeah.
but in about 40 degrees. Sort of little wine tour.
Okay.
And I will say, at stages, it felt like a French Foreign Legion initiation.
What were you there to forget? I suppose you would forget quite a fair amount on a wine tasting thing.
I think it was the first wine tasting where everyone was much more appreciative of the water between sips.
Yeah. How does it work? I've never been to a wine tasting. Well, obviously on waste ground, but they're less organised.
I'm sure you did a lot of spitting out.
Well, not deliberately. Anyway, so how does it work?
Well, you sort of led into a cellar by a sort of tour guide figure, a sort of shepherd figure, and you stand at a sort of awkward semicircle around them while they extol the virtues of this or that very small quantity of wine.
Yeah.
And you all have to sort of sip it. There's a lot of sipping and nodding.
Do you do that sort of and all that weird stuff?
There was one guy who was very against us trying to do that.
Okay.
Before we'd even had anything poured, he said, "Don't do it if you don't know how to do it." He was almost preemptively furious.
Was this a bloke who was an authority figure, or just one of the semicircle?
Stepped in, arms wide. He was the wine tasting guy.
Oh, well, that's fair enough, I think. Because I think you got to protect your.
He spoke with
skills.
the jaded aspect of a man who'd been spattered.
Yeah, I know, I can see that.
Yeah.
And also, if you can do it, it must be annoying watching people go as if they know what they're doing.
Yeah, dribbling down themselves. Yeah.
He was French, was he?
There was a lot of. They were very French. There were different guys in the different cells.
Very French.
Very French. There were some great.
Oh.
How did you find that?
I define it by très français, by the strength of the comedicness of the French accent.
Okay. Well, did they say good moaning?
We were in.
They say honky honk.
I'll be honest. One of them, we were in pretty solid good moaning territory.
Right.
The things that grew on the vines were grips.
Oh, really?
Grips.
Grips.
And they thrived because of the grival.
You know what we feel? You know what this feels like? We found an accent we can legitimately do, and we just can't leave it alone. Now it's been a long time.
It is.
Whoa, man! A little walk down memory lane for the foreign accent comedy guys.
Stretch those muscles.
Oh, I forgot how good those foreign accents felt.
We've got one. Let us have one. Let's keep one.
Legit one, which I think everyone's okay with.
Yeah.
I think it's.
I hope so.
Yeah. You know, I still think we should have kept Concord. I'm good with the en français. Yeah. Okay, we've got that out. I felt I've even had to do a bit of justification, even on the French accent, but there we are. More of this in a bit.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Anyway, we're in France with Pierre Novellie.
That's right. But before we return to France, great text in. Have to be honest, when I turned on the radio and heard I was led into a cellar, I thought Frank was back with his old friends in the S&M community.
They don't have to be led.
So we're on this tour, going to various cellars and sniffing wine and sipping it and nodding. And we had the grips. The grips grow well due to the grival. And then the bit that blew my mind was he gestured at a sort of field and said, "As you can see, the wine trees."
What?
And I thought, are you telling me, as a professional vineyard tour guide, who's fluent enough in English to have this job and has presumably done it for years, that you haven't quite come across the word vine?
Yeah.
in your
wine
life?
trees?
Wine trees.
No.
I thought, well, you've really skipped a crucial chapter of the vocab.
No. Do you know what? I love wine trees.
Yeah.
I won't be saying anything else ever again.
Me and David Baddiel incredibly went to Portugal for golf lessons once. And,
Harry Kane and friends.
The guy there, we had this very, very melodramatic teacher, and he would say, can you Portuguese? Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it, but he'd say, look, I'll teach you things. Here, I'll give you techniques. But out there, you must be inventive, and he'd gesture towards the golf course. And honestly, it was like we were going out on some mission somewhere, and I like the gesture towards the wine trees.
The wine trees.
It's quite I think golf and wine has got a bit of that. People who find it very romantic.
Yes, people are very. If you're into it, you're into it.
Big time. As I found out with horse racing yesterday,
Yes.
Really into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sat next to a woman. I said, "Are you interested in horse racing?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Do you know a lot about it?" And she said, "Well, I suppose I do." And someone said to me after, "I saw you talking to Lester Piggott's daughter." Oh, God. I had no idea. She wasn't called. Then we had name badges. No, it's a different name. You know what happens with the ladies? Change their names, throw everything.
I will say that on the final section of the tour, there was a couple that had come in late. They only just got the last bit. And I initially thought I was hallucinating due to the 40-degree heat and a day of sipping booze. But the guy who came in was... If you saw him cast in a play about Napoleon, your jaw would be on the floor. It was like a drawing of Napoleon had come in and sat next to me at a wine tasting in France. I genuinely did a sweep around the rest of the room to see, is anyone else seeing that Napoleon has just come into the cellar?
What was he wearing, dare I ask?
Well, disappointingly, he's just wearing a sort of bright orange T-shirt and cycling shorts.
Okay.
I think I look a bit like Napoleon.
Do you?
Yeah, a little bit.
I've never thought that.
Only a little bit. A bit. You know, I once got compared to Nigel Clough. I was okay with that. A little bit Napoleon as well.
No.
Not compared to this guy.
Did he have the two strands of black hair across his forehead?
But this guy had it because he'd been late, he'd been sweating, and he had a little strand.
Where was his right hand most of the time?
I always asked that.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, where have you guys come from?" And I thought, fingers crossed, St. Helena.
Yeah, exactly.
But Germany.
Okay.
Very disappointing.
That is a bit disappointing, but... wow, I'd like to have seen him. Couldn't you have took a secret photo of Napoleon?
I was this close to sort of go, oh, shall we all get a photo as a group so we can remember this marvellous...
You at the front, Napoleon. Oh, giving the game away.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Okay.
Someone said, you know, we put up that picture of you at Royal Ascot.
Well, I wasn't actually at. I was on my way there.
Okay, on your way to Royal Ascot. Yes,
Yeah.
I said it right.
No, well, what I mean is don't expect to see lots of elegant ladies and horses in the background, rather just
No, but I was
door.
just distinguishing between Ascot, which some say, and Ascot.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that. What do you say?
I was taught that by a posh person.
What?
It's Royal Ascot.
Oh, is it?
And you don't say Royal Ascot. I mean, who cares? For goodness sake, it's just the GGs. Catherine just says, I'm surprised at the shoes.
Why, I wonder?
Yeah.
You don't get the
But then
shoes.
she says, they look comfy, though.
Oh, they were. Well, that's what I went for.
But you can't say to someone, how do I look? Very comfy.
No, but
Yeah.
they just said black lace-up shoes. That's what the rule said. So I went for me Ben Shermans.
I think you look marvellous.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm going to dress like it all the time now.
Yeah.
You told me the other week I'd found my look, and now here we are again. Anyway, is there more French?
Don LaFrance?
Yeah.
Sure, of course.
Don LaFrance, what a guy he was.
So we got to the
Don
stage where...
LaFrance sounds like some sort of drag act from the 1960s, doesn't it? That's his offstage name.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Good laugh, like to drink. Anyway.
He might have briefly managed a regional football team as well.
What, Don LaFrance?
Yes, it's got a 70s manager name.
Maybe. Anyway.
An eccentric purchase.
What happened with what did he call the wine
The
tree?
wine trees? Well, we did our best to sort of pretend that we knew what he was talking about.
Does one drink enough? I say one, that was for your Spanish, the Spanish leg of the thing. Does one drink enough at a wine tasting to get drunk?
I think you definitely could, and then there's the matter of the spitting. Because these guys are doing it all day, so if they didn't spit, I mean...
Oh, I see. It's like...
It'd be found in the cellar.
It's like Paul Hollywood having just a tiny piece of cake rather than a massive mouthful. Oh, that makes sense.
I do wish Paul Hollywood had a big cake bin. He spat the mouthfuls into
that'd be brilliant. I'd love to see that. Because it wouldn't all come with cake. It would. You'd get the initial lump, and then you'd get Paul Hollywood going...
crumbs.
Yeah, and there'd be bits on his beard, his immaculate beard.
Also,
and they'd end up on Prue's yellow glasses.
Yeah.
But until he turned, after all the spitting...
Did he turn? I didn't know that.
Turn? What happened?
Until he turned.
Yeah, he killed 3 people in a McDonald's. Did you not read about that?
It was big news. Until he turned back to the contestant after the horrible spitting, you'd think, I don't know if he likes it.
No,
it would really ramp up the tension. He'd turn back and go, that was brilliant.
It's a shame Mary's not still on it. I'd like to see her do it over the spit bucket.
Well, yes, she'd do it like a slightly disgusted aunt. I'd enjoy that. Great aunt.
Yeah.
Algernon. Oh.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
So, well, it just tastes lovely texture. Just excuse me.
Good day.
Surprisingly guttural spitting from Mary.
With a sort of...
How do you think Noel would do the spitting?
I don't think he'd do it. I think he'd just devour it.
Yeah.
Because he's sort of the living dead now, so I don't think he'd have to worry about...
Can't put on weight.
Yeah, he's one of the night people.
Yeah.
813, A up you 3. How come it's... sorry, I didn't say that right. How come it's always wine that gets the excursions? Why don't we get trifle tasting trips or perhaps pie tasting weekends where we're presented with a selection of wares to chomp on for a minute before they end up in a bucket? That's from Andy Wood, Bronte Country, one of our regulars, the Brontes. That's Bramwell, West Yorkshire.
I went to Cadbury World.
Oh, there we go, name dropping.
You get a lot of free chocolate there.
I'd hope so.
Or you did in those days. Yeah, but what happens is you have a demonstration of it going into moulds and then you get some free chocolate. Then you go into the gift shop and there's this fabulous and you're thinking, oh, I hate chocolate. It's a real mistake. Put the gift shop at the front is my
You're in the wrong place.
They might have, but the fact, seeing people ride around, literally driving around in Cadbury's cream eggs on wheels, I mean, it's all my dreams.
It's like turtles.
If I was naked in that scenario, that would be one of my actual dreams.
Yeah.
Oh my God, not mine.
Yeah, you say that. Why, do you not have the Cadbury cream egg cars?
Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
So what do you think about this that Andy Wood, thanks for the tip, from Bronte Country says? The excursion, why is it wine that gets the excursions?
I agree with that. As someone who doesn't drink, and when I did drink, I didn't want to be sipping. Wine has got a whole thing around it, though.
Yeah.
I once talked to David Gower, the England cricket superstar, about wine, and he knew all that.
Did he?
They really know.
Yeah.
God, they've got books on it.
The wine.
I like they.
The wine people.
The wine people, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're sitting under the wine tree reading their wine book. Having a wine gum, maybe.
Yeah.
It's acceptable. But I mean, if you had that kind of obsession over vodka, it would be considered a bit strange.
Yeah, if you went on a vodka tasting, I wouldn't expect to see that person for a week.
I mean, you'd lose your job, you'd lose friends.
But as Andy Wood says, it's it could just be food. It could be dolly mixtures. I had some dolly mixtures the other week, for example. I got a bag. And very low on the jellies nowadays. I don't know if the jellies are more expensive to manufacture. But it was mainly the sort of, the candy.
The chalky ones.
Hang on. Yeah, let me deal with this. What's these jellies business you're going on about?
In dolly mixtures, you get the little jelly cone things.
Yeah? Like a gummy bear. No. That sort of material.
Like a gummy bear? What, as in?
Oh, I'm a gummy bear.
No, not like a gummy bear.
Jelly cones.
Hang on, Pierre, I'm coming back in.
Okay.
Dolly mixtures usually have these jellies with sugar on them on the surface.
I'll handle this one. The pink and do you mean the things with the pink and blue dots?
No.
Okay.
I don't need those. Are you thinking of
The
licorice
worst-
all sorts? No.
I know what
They're
you
much
mean
smaller.
more.
Isn't that Dolly mixtures?
They're much softer.
No.
Is that the same thing?
Oh, no. Dolly mixtures are... Is it candy they call that stuff?
Yes.
Dolly mixtures used to work in Madame Jojo.
World's biggest candy war. I went into the M&M store and it's a sign that says this is the world's biggest candy war. And if I was to write a list of suspicious boasts, that would be on it. How has this been verified?
Yeah.
There was no mention of the Guinness record people. World's biggest candy war? Maybe. That's what I'm saying.
Well, a lot of the candy stores, did you read that, are being closed down?
They've been raided.
They've been raided because they're carrying faux Wonka bars.
Counterfeit Wonka bars.
Oh, you know what? We bought some Wonka bars recently from a shop that looked a bit dubious.
Was it on Oxford Street?
It was in the environs.
Well, you might have bought one of Slugworth's imitations. Then.
Oh man! Is that the name?
That's the name of the villain in the book.
Is that
To steal.
wasn't he at Hogwarts?
I think there's a lot of slug-based naming
Mixed
going
too
on.
many children's classics together here. No, we have got one in the house.
Oh,
We're
no.
halfway through one.
You better get rid of that. That's
Didn't
hot
it?
goods. The police have raided it.
You've got a moody chocolate bar
You've
there.
got a moody chocolate bar,
Oh, what
Frank.
does that mean? Are they dangerous?
The ingredients are not correct. It's a cheap chocolate.
I
that they've
thought it was a bit
repackaged.
weird that the golden ticket was to Peppermint Rhino.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about what are those sweets, Pierre, that Frank likes?
Well, jelly tots, apparently.
No, jelly tots is something different. Oh, people.
What about what 312 said? Did you see that, Pierre? 312 says, Frank, for the love of God,
Yeah.
the jelly sweets in Dolly mixtures are called jelly tots.
No, they're not. Jelly tots are a separate brand of sweets. That's what I'm saying.
We can't say jelly cones, though, can we?
No,
Well, the orange ones look like cones.
I don't know if they've got a name. I think the great thing about Dolly mixtures is the closest thing to a communist society that's been achieved peacefully. I think they have their difference, but they operate as Dolly mixtures. They're not worried. They're not, individuality is not an issue in Dolly mixtures.
Would you be against it then if Dolly mixtures tried to follow the M&M's thing where they sell one pack of just green or just red?
Well, the trouble is, as we were talking about this before, you get things like the yellow cube in Dolly mixtures, but when you bite into it, the yellowness is just decoration.
A facade.
It tastes like all the other stuff.
Can I just get something absolutely straight here?
Okay.
How any of these Dolly tots or whatever they're called, are any of them flavoured at all?
Yes,
Is
they're
there
Dolly
any
mixture
distinguishing
flavoured.
characteristics between each colour? There's a pink. Apparently, that's not strawberry.
I would say they all taste the same, and they taste it with a lovely texture, and that's what's
Yeah.
great about it. But the jelly obviously has a different texture because it's jelly,
I think
not tots, in brackets. Okay.
I'd say the taste isn't plain sugar. There's something else happening there.
No, it's like if science discovered that clouds were really sweet,
Yes.
eating them, I think people might
Is
go
this more
straight.
poetry, Frank?
People might go straight to candy floss, but I think Dolly mixtures a bit more density in there. They're very satisfying. I would say I gave my son about 8 of a bag that had 200 in, and I ate the rest. Did he get any jellies? Did he? Buffalo. There for Dad.
I think I might have eaten those once. The producer had them in her Does one still get glove compartments?
Yes, I
12,
you do.
15.
Yeah.
She had some, I think. I'm sure she had one of those. And I thought, what a strange thing to have in a glove compartment in this modern day and age.
I mean, often when people of an age sit around talking about sweets, you get these lovely stories. But of course, Emily's has to be given by a producer.
Oh, she's just corrected me. I've had a correzione in-house.
Okay. Why? What have you said?
She just said white mice.
Oh, I thought she was going to say she was an associate producer. White mice?
She
what
had
about
white mice. I remember thinking it was something 70s.
Oh, was it Sarah who gave you the sweets?
Yes, this producer. I knew
White
it was
mice.
something 70s.
Gosh.
And that's why I stored it away, no offence, Frank, as dolly mixtures. And it was white mice. Because have you had those in a while, white mice?
Yes. What I like about white mice is it's... It's that it's chocolate that isn't quite chocolate. You feel it's something. It isn't quite in the same postcode as chocolate, but it's quite adjacent.
Chocolate's cousin.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to get two buses. You could get one bus to White Mouse chocolate, but it isn't chocolate. I'd take my chances with a Willy Wonka pirate bar. I think over a whole bag of white mice.
I think that's
A
fair.
6 month stretch in Chokey.
Yeah, exactly.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novellie this morning. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Apparently, dolly mixtures. I mean, I will stop going on about this. It's becoming rather obsessive. I appreciate that, and I don't want to stray too much into the territory of remember Spangles, obviously. But
No.
dolly mixtures are made entirely of fondant. Andy follows up. So in essence, they're little cubes of cake icing.
Oh.
That explains the texture.
Is it cake?
That's Frank's favourite programme.
Well, we've finished it off this week. We just did
Paul Hollywood
we
and
did
his
the
cake.
finale. When is the next series coming? Who knows? But wowee,
Okay.
what a program! Have you seen it, Pierre?
I've seen the clips of it cutting into sort of shoes and.
Oh, it's the best program. It's got all the sort of cheesiness of reality telly with genuine art.
Oh, cheesecake. I don't
Oh,
want that.
yeah, yeah.
Can I talk to you both, please, about the winner of the man versus horse race? I'm not sure if either of you are familiar with this.
Well, can I tell you something?
Go on.
Not only am I familiar with this story, but I dropped it quite a lot in conversation yesterday at Royal Ascot to people who knew so much about horse racing and didn't know about this. And so I'd swat it up a bit and I'd say stuff like, yeah, it's to do with the sweating process. I mean, really, did I show these guys? They went away impressed. So carry on. It's a great story.
Well, this chap. So it's been. I mean, I feel we need to bow to you on this, Frank. You know your stuff with Man v Horse.
I've become obsessed with it.
Am I right in thinking it's been running since 1980, approximately?
I think this is the 41st year of running, and this is only the third human being to win the race.
God.
Wowee.
And what I love about it, it started from an argument in a pub.
Oh.
This bloke in 1979 said, I reckon over a long distance a man could beat a horse in a race. And now you just Google it up and say, no, the horse wins. And that would be the end of that conversation. Because there was no Google then. They talked, and it went through the week, this argument. The idea of an argument becoming an event like that, I mean, it couldn't have happened when I was growing up in Birmingham. I don't know how we'd have made an exciting event out of such arguments as, are you looking at my missus? You couldn't really decide that by some sort of competition.
It's the 41st year.
Yeah, exactly. 41st year of Are You Looking at My Missus? And only the third woman to win in that period. But this, they had the argument, and they put it, because there was no Google, they actually put it to the test.
What would the posh person's one be? Have you stolen my lacrosse stick? It is extraordinary.
Have you seen the medal, by the way?
No. Oh.
The medal that you win is a man and a horse really staring at each other from close up in a confrontational fashion.
Like a boxing weigh-in.
Yeah, exactly like that. What I believe they call reckless eyeballing. Yeah. Really staring at each other like, you just wait till this race starts.
Do you think they considered at a point making it realistic and having the horse's head sort of side on, given that it doesn't have binocular vision?
No, it is. That is true.
But when horses give you the evil eye,
you know about it.
It's
well,
like
my terrible incident with the horse. I must have told you this. It became.
Do we want to hear about this?
It became a stand-up routine. So I'll tell you.
During what period of your life?
Oh, not so long ago.
Okay, good.
Well,
Frank was quite blue when he was young.
Yeah.
No, this would have been in the 90s.
Lovely.
And
what happened with the horse?
Well, I don't have time. I'll tell you after. I'll do it very quickly because, like I say, it is available on YouTube, I think. But binocular vision actually comes into this. What, that's supposed to keep people tuned in? the binocular vision teaser.
Don't worry.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So, you had teased us with your equine anecdote.
Well, like I say, I'm not going to give it the full whack. I don't really like doing stand-up on the show, but I'll tell you, this is actually what happened. I was having horse riding lessons because I was going to do a Wild West holiday in Montana, and I couldn't ride, so I was going every week to the thing. And the man. Would you know the man?
Yes. He comes around.
You had to put your own saddle on the horse as part of your sort of learning process. So I put the saddle on, and you know the big strap that goes underneath? I got it tight, but I was like one hole loose. So when I got on the saddle, I put my foot in the stirrup, the whole saddle spun round, and forgive me if this is no longer an acceptable term, but I gave it what we used to call a Chinese burn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the horse looked at me.
Oh, no.
In this most terrible, withering look. And I stood there thinking, I realised I hurt it. And it leaned forward very slowly. I knew it was going to bite me, and I had time to move, but I remained rooted to the spot. And it bit me on my upper arm slowly, but with increasing pressure. It really hurt. And the way it did it with the head round is it was still looking at me. So it was biting me, and at the same time this look was sort of, you know why I'm doing this, don't you? It was really awful, but I didn't move. I took my punishment. And
That's so spiteful.
A human being could not bite something while still staring at it, so it's not really workable. But yeah, very clever. But it was scary, but I thought fair. Firm but fair was, I thought, about that horse.
The horse wasn't angry, he was disappointed.
Oh, anyway, yeah, a man. We should give the details.
We should. So this character is called the man who won.
Nominative determinism, possibly.
Yeah.
Yes, his name, Frank?
He's Lightfoot.
Ricky Lightfoot.
Yes.
As you say, he's the third winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems...
I should say it's over 22 and a half miles. And he did it in 2 hours, 22 minutes. All the twos in this thing.
I like that. You sounded very like a Wimbledon commentator having to fill there.
But I'll tell you what. Can I tell you what the theory is?
Today.
Can I give you the deep background to this? Right. The reason this bloke in the first place thought it would have to be over a long distance and it would have to be in warm weather, and it's to do with the sweating process. Although horses do sweat. You see them after races, they got that frothy stuff. It's not like our sweat, it's sort of protein and fat and stuff coming out. But we sweat in order to cool ourselves. And horses, like most animals, rely on panting to cool themselves. And panting is not efficient over a long period of time. So if it was a sprint or you wouldn't have a chance over a mile, but over a long distance, the horse starts to suffer a bit more in warm weather because he's relying on he or she relying on panting. So but even so, the horses usually win. I think there was 1,000
They do
human
when
beings.
you're around.
Yeah, 1,000 human beings and 50 horses in this race, and this bloke beat everything.
Gosh.
Can I tell you what I think's a little unfair about man v horse?
Yeah.
Okay, I will.
Is it the number of legs thing?
I'll tell you what it is. It's the way, the premise of it, the prize pot I have issues with. The prize pot, this guy won 3.5k.
Yeah.
So far, so not that unreasonable. Seems okay. However, the person next year, if they win it, they'll get £500.
Yes.
Now, this is because it builds up and builds up.
It's like pointless. If someone wins it, it goes back to the minimum.
Yeah.
But imagine if they did that at Wimbledon, like when Andy Murray wins. Some British man enters it the next year. Oh, sorry, I've only got 500 quid because the prize pot was taken last year.
That's true.
Is that to stop them being rinsed by Ricky Lightfoot?
The returning Ricky Lightfoot.
Bankrupting the race.
Yeah, he'd have to be banned from the right. You know, these guys that win a lot at blackjack, and they're told they can't play at the casino anymore.
Yes,
yeah, Lightfoot turned away. Yeah, so I don't know how it is as a spectator event over 22.5 miles, but imagine if it had been, because he won by about 2 minutes, imagine a close finish between a man and a horse watching that. That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Harder to win by a nose as a human.
Yeah, well, speak for yourself.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're talking about, is it man versus horse, Frank, or horse v man?
I think man versus horse sounds better, doesn't it?
Okay.
Terrifying.
I don't know who was there first, Pierre, in the evolutionary chronology?
Oh, Pierre will know.
Man or horse?
It's got which version of man?
Well, I might have to go Neanderthal.
What's your favourite? Is that your favourite?
It used to be.
I remember you saying that to me on tour.
Yeah, we had a lot of strange codes going there in that tour van.
You and your Masonic Lodge antics.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Can I tell you something that's slightly disappointed me? It doesn't show me in a great light. A lot of things don't. However, when I first saw this,
yes,
I was really hoping, it was a riderless horse.
Oh,
because
okay.
I think they're chickening out a bit. Sorry to bring chickens in.
Yeah.
But I just think that would really up the stakes, wouldn't it? If it was just horses flailing around.
Yes, I think more human beings would win then. I was chased by a bull once, and I won.
Sorry, you and the Beano?
Yeah. But I've got to say, a bull is a great pacemaker.
Yes.
You really find out what you're capable of. They're motivational skills. The pursuing bull. But that athletes should train with one of those at their heels. It's amazing what you can do. I ran up a fence with my hands full, and still got over the fence just with my feet like a spider.
Oh my God.
This genuinely happened outside of a cartoon setting.
Yes, and I had a carrier bag in one hand and an electric kettle in the other.
When you started motion, did you briefly leave behind a cloud of dust that looked exactly like you?
Well, obviously my feet just went along on the ground for the first bit before. It was absolutely terrifying, I must say. Thank God I'd had 9 pints on my own in a pub in Kenilworth.
Yeah.
That's the only encounter I've had is with a wild boar.
Oh, okay.
He was terrible. Awful man.
Tell us who it was after.
You both know him. But anyway, I just think the riderless horse would have zhuzhed it up a bit. I know it's a bit Abraham Lincoln funeral,
I see your point.
but still.
Anyway, what animal could you beat in a race? 8, 12, 15. Yeah. It's very interesting, though, the whole thing.
I love the name Ricky Lightfoot. I did think it could be a competitor to your Eurovision entry.
Yeah. I think so. No, he's quite a guy. Apparently he hadn't slept for like 29 hours before because he's coming back from Tenerife or somewhere and still beat a horse.
It's like the sort of thing that you'd read about from the era of Victorian eccentrics.
Yeah.
He beat a horse in a race and he hadn't slept.
Yeah. If old Ricky gets a really good 8 hours in, man, they can line up the Wildcats. They're not going to catch him. What a guy.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
And we've had some responses.
So what animal could you beat in a race? It wasn't even a serious suggestion. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
We've had Iona Faz. She says, I can run really fast on my hands and feet.
Wow.
I reckon I could beat Raymond. She says, that's my dog.
Well, he's quite small, Raymond, but I spent most of the 80s on my all fours, and I never really hit a pace with them. I found it quite hard work.
Yeah.
Nick, a cow. I think I could beat a cow. Could you?
I think Nick might be assuming a lot there. I've been on my many walking holidays.
Yeah.
I've been through a few fields. I've been through a few where they've got bulls in the same field as a public footpath. Outrageous.
Yeah.
But cows, if they got young, can be quite menacing.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And I think if you went over there brandishing something, you'd find how fast a cow could move. Yeah.
You know, with greyhounds, they've got that sort of rabbit or similar like that shoots
hair.
out ahead of
The hair, yeah.
What would that be for cows? Just sort of patch of turf
Yeah, that's
shooting away from them.
Yeah, that's what would it be?
How could you motivate
Is
them?
it just grass?
Just a lump of grass, yeah.
That'd be rubbish,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? I watched dog racing on the telly with my son, and I said, what happens is they all get put in boxes, and then a false hare goes past on a thing, and he went, yeah. I said, no, it honestly does happen. He just wouldn't accept it. Then when he came round, he had the most massive laughing fit. Because if you're approaching it from, like, nowhere, as children, I mean, what happens?
Yeah.
People go and put money on dogs chasing a false hare.
And it's stuck in a very funny sort of mid-sprint posture, isn't it, the hair?
Somebody referenced, actually, I was talking to yesterday, they knew the hair setter at Haringey or something like that. Right. The person who had to put it on the movable perch. Yeah. So you want to get it, if it comes off, the dogs stop. And rip it apart. So it's got to be firmly fixed, the hair. And it's got to look enough like a hare to keep them going.
The hair
Just saying.
Yeah.
Douglas Ashington.
Good name.
A sausage dog over rough ground.
Yeah, I can see that because it would undulate. It'd be like racing the man from Atlantis because it would do that up and downy thing. I just did the gesture with my hand. Unhelpful on radio.
Darren Fordham. If I had a triathlon with the shark, I love that song, I'd win the running, the shark would win the swimming, so it would all come down to who's quicker on a bike.
Yeah, you got to get through the swimming bit.
Yeah.
That's the problem, isn't it?
I mean, I would, honestly, though, if they had, like, a man v Komodo dragon, come on.
No, that would be terrifying. You've only got to get one nip from a Komodo. Once the poison's in your thing, then that would slow you down and then it would devour you.
Yeah, but that's all the fun of the fair.
I've come to think of it, I've got a voucher for a Komodo dragon experience at London Zoo. I haven't actually spent yet.
Sounds like a trap to me.
Is it with an undertaker?
I forgot about it, yeah. I enter with a padre. But,
Do they ask you to come in the morning suit and the top hat, just ready for the burial?
They asked you to come in a shroud. I'd forgotten about my Komodo dragon voucher.
Leave it.
That's someone who's got too much in their life.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Lee has been in touch. If it was over a long distance, a cat, because they'd get distracted and walk off the racetrack.
Yeah, because they can shift, cats, when they have to. I saw one chasing a squirrel once when I was running, and the squirrel was flat out, and there wasn't much in it. I wasn't completely convinced they was going to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, a cat would never keep it up for 22 and a half with their...
A riderless cat.
Yeah, well, a cat with a rider.
Can I have that at my funeral, please?
Say if you got something like a mandrill on the back of a cat, you know, a strict disciplinarian ape, I think a cat could surprise itself.
I'd like to race against the duck, just for the aesthetics.
I've been to duck racing in the Cotswolds.
Oh, yes?
Winchcombe. It's a regular event.
Oh.
Yeah.
How is it?
You know what? I really enjoyed it.
No.
But don't give me the bill, as the old joke says.
Well, Sharon Willis says, depends what type of race. Egg and spoon, I could take on most of them.
Oh, that's true.
But I did think a duck, spoon in bill, egg clenched,
Yeah.
has a chance.
Yeah, you could have egg in womb.
Yeah.
And spoon just gaffer tape round the carcass. That way you could avoid any flight cheating.
True, yeah.
If you went right round the wings with
Technical victory.
it. Yeah. But yeah,
What
interesting
about-
spectacle, the bound
The bound duck race.
the bound duck race.
What about at school? There was always a cheat, wasn't there, in the E&S
Yes.
race? You know what they did, Frank? Do you know what they did, Pierre? I knew.
Go on.
They kept the thumb fixed on the egg.
Unforgivable.
Lifetime marked.
Yeah, that's the
I think
person
that is
who's
a
going
line-
to be texting under the table at a pub quiz 20 years later.
Absolutely.
Again, unforgivable.
What would you least like to do?
Unforgivable. What would
your
I
heart-
least like to do? That'd be a great texting. Can you imagine some of the terrible answers we'd get to that? Oh my God. I'm not even going to speculate.
Pandora's box.
I might leave that open. I was going to finish it, but you know what? Let's leave it there.
Let's
leave it.
Can I say that is not a texting, and I do not want any answers to what you would least like to do.
I do.
Definitely not. Episode 4, I'm going to say, of my poetry podcast is out on Wednesday. I'm doing Claire Pollard this week. It's all mermaids and stuff. Ooh, love it. Catch up on all previous episodes wherever you usually get your podcasts. Pierre, great having you on. I find we get on as well in a studio as we do in the back of a van.
I think that's true, yeah.
How many people can say that? So, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.